Shalom. I think that the best is I will speak in English. If you want, I can speak also in French or in Hebrew. And every word that I know in Chinese will be said also. I don't know even any word in Chinese. I was asked by my dear friend, Professor relevance, to speak about what is Noahism, what is the Noahide project of the sons of Noah, that means all mankind. And I will try to do it shortly, but I want to ask many questions and to solve this question by the way of sources in the Talmudic tradition, maybe in other branches of Judaism. I know that it will be a bit hard to understand because maybe some of the sources are not known to you, but we will be tested at the end of the conference, so you must, and it will be noted. So you have to pay attention. The first question I will ask concerns one of the greatest philosophers of the new era. I mean the French philosopher Henri Bergson, who was born Jewish, but was quite far from his origins, from Judaism. Henri Bergson, who was a very great philosopher, I think it is one of the greatest of the history, said, and it is not true, he said that Christianity is best than Judaism. What for? Because Judaism speaks about a God who is interested only by his people. And Christianity extended this idea to the whole mankind. So Christianism is higher, superior to Judaism. You can know easily that it is not true for a simple reason that universalism is spread among all the texts of Judaism. The idea of an elected people, a chosen people, means that there is a mankind behind this, from which you are chosen. So the idea of the Jewish people comes after the idea of mankind, of humanity. And it is not necessary to bring all the verses who speaks of the universal mission of the people of Israel. I think that many of them have been brought now. And if you consider the mission given to Jonas, the prophet, to the Assyrian town of Nineveh, and also what the oral tradition says about this. For example, the sayings of one of our greatest rabbis during the Second Temple period, Hillel, the elder, who said that the duty of every Jew is that the duty of every Jew is to love every created being and to approach them to the Torah. And the sayings of Rabbi Akiva in the 2nd century, who said that every man is loved by God because he was created to his image. So, and also in the Talmudic tradition, we have a universal legislation. I mean, Noahide law. So how can it be that such a great philosopher as Bergson made such a mistake to think that Judaism is not universal? The second mistake is to think that Christianity is universal. You know that outside the church you have no salvation? And the answer is that Bergson was right. He was right in the facts. In the existential reality, the people of Israel did not deal with the nations during the time of exile. And this for two reasons. We did not deal with the nations. The first reason is because of persecutions. We were worried by our immediate survival every day. When you are busy to live and to survive, so you cannot deal with other persons, even if it is your role. The second reason is what happened after emancipation of the Jews. When we were freed by a French Revolution, an American Revolution, and so on, we were attached to one goal: to disappear, to assimilate inside of the Western civilization. So when we are we are busy to disappear, you cannot have a universal mission. But from the time from which we rebuilt our state after a long exile of 2,000 years, so we came back to our role. And this role is not a secondary, a not important role in Israel. We have been chosen by God to give His word to the whole world. And I would like to teach a little passage from the Talmud. I mean, a page in the tractate Baba Kama, page 38a. So you can note and verify that I say the truth. It is in Baba Kama 38a. What is said there? It is said that according to a verse in the prophet Habakkuk, that the nations have been liberated from the duty of keeping the 7 laws of Noah. They were liberated, they are free. It is so strange that the Talmud asks, how can it be that a sinner will be granted for having for not keeping the laws? Because the Talmud says, why are the nations freed from the duty of 7 laws? It is because they did not keep them. After this, Talmud says, no, nations are not liberated from the duty of 7 laws, but they are not granted by they are not rewarded for this. So the Talmud asks once more, how can it be that you are not rewarded for your good deeds? And the conclusion is very strange. The conclusion is they are rewarded as a person who does a thing voluntarily, that it is not obliged to do it, but as a deed of free will. And it is less good than to achieve a thing that you are obliged to do. What does it mean? If we go deep inside the teaching of Talmud, and I have not the opportunity to come with you with every word of this passage, but it is the work of the commentaries, it means that came a time in humanity in which the nations did not want to achieve the moral precepts as a commandment, as a mitzvah. When was it? It was with the Paulinism, when Paul, the founder of Christianity, decided that the law is abolished. There is no more any law. Why not law? Not because moral is not good, but because you cannot be always in accordance with your commandment, and so you will have the situation in which you will be guilty in front of God. So he decided that you don't have a mitzvah, you don't have a commandment to be moral, but you must be. You must be moral. As I said, not everything is permitted, but not everything is good to do. And that's the reason for which we, the Jewish people, we decided, by the way of our tradition, to give to the nation the possibility of to achieve the moral values as a commandment of God. And to do it, you must accept the 7 laws in front of an official court of the Jewish people. That is the teaching of Maimonides. Maimonides, one of our main teachers in the Middle Ages. And that's the reason for which we founded an organization called Brit Olam, or the Noahide World Center, in which we are in contact with many Gentiles all over the world. And we can see that there is a demand, there is a request to the word of God among the nations. And many thousands of non-Jews come to us to accept officially the 7 laws. But as you can understand, 7 laws is not enough. What are the 7 laws? 7 laws are only negative commandments. Not to kill, it's obvious. Not to steal, it is obvious. And so on. So, what is the meaning of 7 laws only? The answer is that the 7 laws are only a minimum, a basis for speaking. When a person doesn't accept not to kill, so we cannot deal with him. We cannot have any contact, serious contact. So the 7 laws are only a basis. And we suppose that every nation, every society would accept some parts of the 630 commandments of Judaism according to his own sensibility, according to his needs, according to the special way of living. For example, I was asked it is a simple example, but it is significant. I was asked by many persons in the world, what is the age for bar mitzvah to Noahides? What is bar mitzvah? It is the age from which you are responsible of your acts. In Judaism, it is 13 years for boys and 12 years for girls. It is exactly when you got to the age of 13, so you are obliged to accomplish the mitzvot. What is the age for non-Jews? And my answer was that in Philippines it is at the age of 12, and in Canada 17. Why? Because in Philippines when you are 12 years old, you are responsible of your family. And so you are responsible, also you are responsible of your acts toward God and toward the society. But in Canada, when you are 17, you begin to think about to be a man. It is not so simple in Western society to accept responsibility before the age of 30. But we assume that at the age of 17, you are also able to do it. So that's the reason for which when I wrote these last years a book of laws for Noahide, I insisted on this point that every society has to assimilate the laws according to her own sensibility. And it is very hard to do this because we need to establish mutual committees for every nation and to sit with them and to check what is relevant or what is not relevant for every society.